Hey there. So my next guest is a banker, and I love bankers. And he's just so animated, so full of life, so happy. He's like exactly what every banker I've ever met is. And like his passion, his love of what he does is so clear. I think you guys are going to love this one just because, hopefully like some of his excitement and energy just rubs off on you. All right, let's get to it. Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the Gamerpreneur podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Bradford Carlton. Today I have a very special guest with us. I have Raymond Alvarez with Northern Trust. Hey there, Raymond. How's it going?
Doing very well, Brad. Thank you so much. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm beautiful. It's a beautiful sunny day in Las Vegas. How about yourself?
Doing pretty well over here in the Midwest, suburbs of Chicago.
All right. So, Raymond, why don't you just begin by telling us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into it.
Thank you, Brad. Just a little bit about me. I'm a Midwest kid. I come from a military family. My dad served during Vietnam. Got a humongous family full of gamers. 5 older brothers, no sisters, and just doing my thing in the Midwest. You really wanted to move back here and be with my family.
Your poor mother. All right. So, Raymond, I really want to get into this because you're a banker. And when I was an attorney, bankers were my favorite people on the planet. I despise accountants, but bankers, I'm right there with you. So, but before I get into any of that, I'm going to ask you a question that I ask all my guests. So you're going to get it just like everybody else. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being high, how weird are you, Raymond?
Wow, that's a question I've really never gotten before. You know what? I think I'm I don't know, maybe regular in my head. I'm not too weird, too this, to that. I like to just say 7 for everything because it's my favorite number. Let's go with 7.
Okay. Well, why is that, other than being the favorite number? Obviously, you think you're a little bit weird.
Oh, yeah. I think it's because if I wasn't weird at all, people would see everything the way I see it. And I always find myself seeing everything differently than pretty much everybody, whether they look like me or not. I'm always having to explain why I think something or my take on a certain situation. And I think that alone, not having to just nod your head and agree with everybody with what they say, that just, I already know something's odd either about me or about everybody else. So I'll definitely say I'm a little weird.
Right on. All right. So this is the gamerpreneur. So I'm going to need your gaming cred. Can you tell me when you first started playing video games?
First started playing video games. Let's go back to Super Mario Brothers. Oh, for sure. On Super Nintendo. Really got gaming when I was the first peak, I would have to say would be 2001. Right around 9-10 years old. And ever since.
Okay. Beautiful. And kind of how did your journey progress? Because obviously you're still a gamer, right?
Oh, definitely.
I hope so. Otherwise, I'm cutting this interview short.
Definitely a gamer. I actually just got finished gaming. I come from a really big family, as I mentioned, and I actually use gaming differently than I used to. I still game pretty much every day, every week. But now I game mostly to stay in touch with my brothers. And it's actually really fun. Regardless of all of our ages, I'm the youngest, and it's just a really good hobby, and I love it that I can use it to keep in touch with my brothers.
Right on. So what do you guys play?
Well, we used to play all the Halos, obviously, all the GoldenEyes, all the Zelda games, everything under the sun for Final Fantasy. Obviously, 7 and 10 are really amazing, but we've been playing a lot of Madden lately. A lot of Madden, and I think it's because we're missing a lot of the sports during COVID, but we grew up playing all the games I mentioned, 2K, NHL, anything by EA, of course, but cannot wait for the next systems because all the iterations of the next big games are about to come out too.
Yeah, GTA 5 again, right?
Oh my gosh. Honestly, you can just play that free roam, and it is amazing.
Oh, don't worry, Skyrim's coming out too, you know it. Oh, I love it. Anyway, okay, so I want to kind of wrap up the gaming stuff, but favorite game of all time?
Oh, wow. That is so tough. I would have to just say GoldenEye is popping on my head because even the remake was pretty tough to that N64 version. Really like GoldenEye a lot.
Oh, darn right. You and the crew sitting on a couch or a bed together, right? With the
Oh yeah,
I was right there with you.
Oh, the golden gun was my my favorite. I memorized all the levels in every single spot where the golden gun was, so I won a lot. Odd job all the way.
Oh, that's just cheating. I loved Odd Job in every game just because of the hat.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Love
So there you go. All right, let's get to the preneur part. So what do you do for a living?
Brad, I am a banker at Northern Trust. So I work in a very small niche department called derivatives. And in a nutshell, essentially, that's just sophisticated gambling, if you will, in the market, where people take a lot of positions, especially on products they don't own, securities that they don't own. They're just high stakes bets, especially on performance of products. So for instance, if you were to say, want to take a bet on Amazon that it would go up or down in the next 5 years, I would say, hey, at the other side of the counter, say, hey, I'll take that bet and I'll trade you a fixed rate. Think of kind of like a fixed versus float rate type in a mortgage-backed security, like a house. And there's a lot of gambling involved. And so those hedge funds, our clients, we manage their funds and make sure all the numbers are in the place where they need to go, and all the money needs to go where it needs to go, and in whatever currency. That's a little bit about what I do.
I love it. And I thank you for like shifting it down a little bit into easy to understand language. Like I understand all this stuff, but I don't know about my audience. So how did you get into that? Like you didn't just walk in one day, shake somebody's hand and there you go. You're handling a lot of money.
That's a great question. So, I talk a lot about family in my life, especially how they inspire me. So something that I was kind of shifting from in undergrad, as I kind of moved my way to grad school at a particular juncture in my life, I always looked to my brothers and what they were doing and how they were succeeding in their lives. And I always looked up to them, figuratively and literally. So a lot of them were into finance and accounting and, especially the investment industry. And I just would have my normal conversations, especially on my headset with Madden. So instead of talking about games, we talk about real life while we're gaming. And just said, you know what? Why can't I do that? It's something that it's really big into something I love to talk about is diversity. And if you see people like you succeeding and you know they come from a similar background, it kind of almost inspires you. I think I could do that just like them. And maybe I can talk to them about that and they can help me. So I did that with my brothers, started interviewing for finance jobs, and then boom, I did a couple grad degrees and here I am.
Right on. So like what is like actually required? Is there a particular type of degree? Is there an experience requirement? Like I have to imagine handling large amounts of money, there's something like necessary.
That is a great question because I will be honest, the answer is yes and no. I would say yes is that you'll have a much easier barrier to break down if you have the finance or accounting background. So I have a master's in accounting myself. And so that background helped me get the barrier a lot easier. Whereas somebody with more of a liberal arts background, you have a huge gap to fill. But the biggest thing more than all else, background helps, yes, definitely. But the biggest thing of all else is admitting that you don't know everything and you're willing to learn. And if you can do that, I think in any industry, aside from the ones that say require a law or medical degree to get in the door, a lot of places will take you. I've definitely learned that a lot, and it's very humbling, and it's probably the best medicine you can use in any case of life. So say that you're willing to learn, and people will teach you.
Very cool. And how is it handling large amounts of money? Like what kinds of numbers are you dealing with?
Oh, definitely billions with a B. No doubt about it. Millions all day long. The smallest positions I've ever seen were just like tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars. Those are small positions because we work with a lot of big clients, some of which you would not think that would be investing money. I obviously can't disclose, but how does it feel to work with that much money? Honestly?
Yes, because I mean, the average person, I mean, in the United States, but the average income is like 37,000 or something like that.
It's a great question because it's not as difficult as it may seem, as long as you are dotting your dotting your I's, crossing your T's. All of the work is simply that. You're learning every day. Those numbers, as long as they're right, it's just about, hey, am I ensuring that the client's assets are secured and the due diligence and we as a fiduciary are up to snuff? It's not that big a deal, honestly, for the smallest positions to the largest. It all feels the same. I honestly, it feels like you're just walking into a sort of a quasi Robin Hood shop, if you will, and then just executing those trades. So it's the big time Robin Hood, if you will.
Cause like, I'll admit, like it was only really about a year and a half ago that I started learning anything about finance. So I did the law thing. I was a business law attorney. I was helping companies. They were making money, right? They're making decent amounts of money. But then like I met my first investor who was like, is it only $100 billion? I'm like, what do you mean only 100 million? And like that for like, it took me a few weeks, months to like comprehend just how easy money is in the system. And like, I don't know if you had that moment, did you?
I would say I had this moment at a different job. I used to work, actually, funny enough, for NASA, and they have a lot of money always moving around, as you can imagine. So I think I had that moment kind of when I was in undergrad, and I was working there before and after classes. So that was more of the first aha moment, if you will, because taxpayer dollars I think that's the one that really hit me, the taxpayer dollar moment, that what the government's spending on. You can be spending money on $1,000 screw that goes into the side of a rover and it wouldn't even have them blinking twice.
Wow. All right. So Raymond, what makes you unique? Why are you uniquely qualified or suited for this position as opposed to anybody else?
Well, you know what? I think some people think it's about the hard skills in finance and any quantitative discipline. But you know what? Having that willingness to learn, that's something you can, those hard skills, the quantitative savvy, you can learn in a textbook. You can learn from somebody, kind of like an apprentice, if you will. But I think something that makes me qualified in any of the positions I've had, just being an honest person, just being someone who brings positive energy, and one that you can raise your hand and say, I messed up here, and just move on. Just being open and honest always, because if you make a mistake, no matter what job it is, it'll always come out in the end. So anytime you make a mistake, just raise your hand and notify all related parties immediately, and just coming to work every day and just being thankful that that you're alive, you've got good health in your family. That I think is everything. That's the reason why I think I'm qualified for any job for me.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. All right. So I'm really trying to make part of the goal of my show to allow people to follow in my guest footsteps if that's what they want to do. So if someone's sitting here listening and they're like, what Raymond's doing is what I want to do. What advice would you have somebody for like just starting out? Like the idea just popped into their head. Where do they go from there? Oh,
that's a great question. The first thing I would go to is Coursera, edX, for sure. These are MOOCs, M-O-O-C, massive open online courseware. And they have a lot, I mean, quite literally, free courses on the subject from every major university, from Harvard to Oxford, from Yale to you name it. From Wharton, top finance school in the country, to University of Illinois, a big public institution down the road. This is where you start. You audit those courses because it's free to audit. If you want to earn a specialization, a certificate, even a full online degree, I would start there. And if you want to go further and you say you might need a bachelor's, associate's, and then a master's, if you want that, you can always keep going further and push that door down on those two platforms. A lot of those universities partnered with those institutions because universities actually made those startups. Harvard and MIT made edX, whereas I believe Stanford was part of Coursera. And so that is the first place because all the education's laid out for you. It kind of started with iTunes U and just went on from there. That's the first place.
Fantastic. I wrote that down. I'm like, I can get free courses from those schools. Like,
Yeah. Any subject,
I'm
honestly.
sitting here like, how am I going to get this executive MBA from Harvard for 50 grand? I just audit it.
They definitely have something on edX, 100% sure.
Right on. So how long have you been doing this then?
Probably almost exactly 2 years in this role.
Very cool. All right. So if you could go back 2 years and you could talk to little Raymond, you're like, little Raymond, these are all the things that are going to happen to you over the next 2 years. But here's like the one thing you need to know in order to just make everything so much better for your entire life. What would you say?
Wow. I would. Oh, this is so hard, but I would ask if I could have maybe worked from home more to spend more time with my dad. That would have been the biggest thing.
Okay. Yeah. Tell me about your dad.
Oh man, the man, the myth, the legend. So my dad, Antonio Alvarez, was a Vietnam veteran, served in the Marine Corps during the war, and unfortunately, we just lost him 2 months ago to the day.
My condolences.
Thank you very much. Really big impact on my life, my family. Is because of his service, actually, that all of my brothers and my mom got to go to school, basically for free. Thank you, Dad, for your service. From his GI Bill, and that's why I keep going to school no matter what. I'm actually currently still in school. I will go until they say I can no longer go from his GI Bill. And he was just a really genuine human being. Amazing humor, really good positive outlook on life, really hard worker. Say that about a lot of people, but man, the guy quite literally got straight A's. Had 3 kids at the time, my 3 oldest brothers, straight A's. Worked in the steel mill after the war. Went to school at nighttime. Valedictorian. Went on to work at Bell Laboratories. This guy was an engineer after he worked in the steel mill as a laborer, machinist, and just went into electrical engineering. No big deal. After serving in the war, the whole bit, and just like he really liked to talk himself up, but you know what? He walked the walk. So it's always funny because people can talk. I feel that if you can walk the walk, you can talk the talk in life. So he really liked to do that. But he was always interested in our education. Loved any story you can tell because I think he really learned that life is about stories and you can inspire and change everything and everybody in this life with a good story. So just a little bit about him. And he would give literally the jacket and food off his plate, jacket off his back, food off his plate, just to take care of you. That's a little bit about him.
All right. He sounds like a fantastic guy.
Definitely.
All right. Okay. So Raymond, I'm going to give you one of those quintessential interview questions. Okay. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Wow. That's a great question. Very standard. Wow. So see myself in 5 years. I know I kind of mentioned keep going to school just because it's something that, similar to gaming, I really like as a hobby. But you know what? It's something that I think it's so much more than a hobby. So I know in 5 years, I know I'll be in another grad program. Personally, I think this will be around the point where I will have just finished up an MBA and probably start my first job as a lecturer, as an adjunct. I'll definitely keep down the track where I am. But I really want to get into teaching at some point, especially after work. That's where I see myself in 5 years.
Right on. Okay. So Raymond, you had an incredible life so far. You've done some amazing things. You're handling a lot of money. With all that said, I genuinely believe we actually learn more from our failures than our successes though. So at this point, I'd like to humble you if I can and ask you, what is something that you have failed at and what did you learn from it?
Oh, this is the best question, honestly, because there's so many things we fail at. Not just a certain course in school, but I think the biggest thing is, and I say this very respectfully to the people, so I won't name any names or where the place was, but it's very important to be able to interview your interviewers just as much as they are you, because you'll be working with them. It's not about whether or not you get that one job. There's always going to be another one, or get into that one school. There's always going to be another one. But it's the willingness to keep going. And so there's one really big failure that I honestly helped change my entire life. One where I thought the interviewer was very genuine. I take a lot of people at their word, and I know that's a big fault in my life, but I choose to believe people are good in the majority of the sense of the world. But one particular time that I believe I failed was that I accepted a position when I had more than one offer on the table, and I gave my word to this first job and instead of the second job. And the second job was waiting on me, and I gave my word to the first employer. The interviewers seemed so genuine, seemed so sincere. I'm going to teach you how to do this job. I'm going to teach you how to do it well. You'll be up to snuff with my level. Honestly, you could not have chosen any better that. I'm going to just walk you through career success. And it was just like, oh my gosh, who is this person? And then for day one, everything they said in the interview, it turned out to be the exact opposite. So I had to learn the job myself, had to teach myself how to do the work. Thank God for previous FQs and their financials from previous years, because you can see how work was done in the past to help you go forward. So unfortunately, the interviewer lied to me. It was very sad, very humble experience, because I feel like I was almost cheated out of an opportunity, a career-changing, life-changing opportunity. But you know what? I'm so thankful that happened, because I was living in a state all by myself, without my significant other, without my mom, my dad, my big family, and for this opportunity. And so once I realized that this job was never going to ever be anything like I was promised in all the interviews I did, I said, you know what? I'm going to finish out the job up until I think there's like a probationary period usually they give you when you start. I finished up to that point, and they just said, you know what? I'm not going to accept anything further. I'm going to just resign. Unfortunately, I had to report the guy to HR. Very abusive time at work. It was really sad. Like abusing laws at work, doing things behind closed doors. It was so crazy, because it seemed to the point of I can't even explain on camera how bad it was. But once you realize that, you have to feel that you have so much self-worth and confidence in yourself, and you have to be able to speak up for yourself in life. So I did that. So I just filed an HR report, and I said I resign. I don't really mind what you do to this person. Whatever happens to them, I'm going to go ahead and move back to the Midwest. Right. And I never heard from them again.
Hey, that's awesome that you had the courage to do that. A lot of people would be so scared of losing a job, they wouldn't have done it.
Oh, that honestly was the easiest decision. It was the easiest decision of my life, because think about it. Do you like waking up and going to that job, that work, being around those people? The whole department was that person and myself. So that was every day. It was something like, man, I could just have a better life. So I turned around and just rocked into grad school, grabbed up 2 masters, and just kept going. That was it.
Right on. I feel you. I've been in the exact same position, actually a couple different jobs. So, all right. Now, Raymond, it's not about me. It's about you. What is something you're working to improve on in yourself?
Wow, that is so hard, because we critique ourselves so much. We are our biggest critics. One of the biggest things that I want to, work on for myself, try not take things so seriously. It's something that I think that my dad did so well in life, was to try not take things so seriously, even when people are trying to put you down. Some people go in their life try to basically hurt you, to put you down because they're having a hard time in their life. They take out their world's angers on you, and once you realize that's happening, you know what? It's okay. You can just remove yourself from the situation. You're an adult. You don't have to take that, and just say, you know what? I don't have to take you seriously as somebody doing that to me. I'm a person. You're a person. I respect your humanity, but I'm going to remove myself from the situation. And that is the greatest thing I've ever learned, probably from my dad. You don't have to take squat from bad people in life. You can remove yourself. You're an adult. You don't have to take that. So once you realize that, if someone's just like out to get you for whatever reason, I don't believe that in life genuinely, but there's some bad apples out there. You can remove yourself and say, you know what? I respect you as a human being, but I'm gonna go ahead and go. So to be able to walk out to the balcony, to be able to leave a room. That is some of the greatest advice I ever heard in my life. Don't take them seriously. They're bad actors. Let them be. They've already made their choices. If you walk in a room and someone's attacking you for no reason, they've made that choice. You can't change it. So why even be in the room?
Beautiful. That's fantastic advice. Absolutely. And again, I've been right there with you. All right. When somebody meets you for the first time, Raymond, what is it about you that you think they misunderstand?
Wow, that is so hard because I think the biggest thing that people misunderstand about me would be I don't know, I get this a lot. Some people think I'm yelling at them and they think that I'm not being real in my personality. This is just me. Honestly, it's kind of funny because I talk really loud, come from a big family. My dad was more than half deaf from serving in the war. So we always talk loud. And I think it's part of our culture to speak loud and to always talk loud to almost maybe get heard. Some people think I'm yelling at them sometimes. And you know what? Some people they might just have a sensitive ear. That's okay. But do I have to quiet down for someone else? I can respect them. I mean, but I think some people just don't get it. They don't come from the same background I do, and that's okay. They don't understand what it means to come from a big family. Some people might not understand the Latino culture, Latinx, and that's all right. And some people just don't like to see you smile. It sucks to say that because they choose to have a frown all the time. And you know what? That's okay. If that's their life, cool. I'm going to choose to be around people who smile, who have that light, that energy. And that's why I think people misunderstand about me sometimes.
Awesome. I love it. That's fantastic. All right, Raymond, this has been a wonderful interview. How do people find you? Where are you at on social media? How can people connect with you?
Oh my gosh. Brad, it's been a pleasure. Some of the biggest areas to hit me up would be Facebook, Raymond Andrew Alvarez. That'd be one of my biggest ones. LinkedIn as well. LinkedIn/IN/Alvarez Raymond, no space. And those are my biggest areas I've been on. But I'm hoping, in the coming days, months, maybe to put out some content. I'm not too sure. Hopefully, maybe something I can, really honor my dad, my family, give thanks to people. I don't know what it's going to be called, but soon. But those are my best handles and locations.
Wonderful. All right. So as we're wrapping this up, do you have any final thoughts or anything I didn't ask you think we still need to cover?
Wow. I guess why people think playing games are a waste of time. And I'd like to also, speak on the side of the gamerpreneur. I don't think they're a waste of time. I think it's just it's a really creative hobby. I was kind of talking to you a little bit beforehand about how I used to be the slowest typer in school. And then I started playing games and I got really into gaming. And now I can go right around 140 words a minute. I owe that all to gaming. I could not be a successful banker without gaming. Hands down, I think it's one of the biggest things. And it's a conscious choice of your time. I mean, if you have a hobby, I respect that. I mean, I should be able to allowed to have a hobby too. So I think if people are respectful of each other's time, no matter the age, this is just a hobby. But it can be so much more. It can help you out a lot. You can bond with your kids. You can bond with your brothers, your family. So I think that people should never look down on gaming because, hey, it's how I want to spend my time. I get to choose my time, and that should be something I get as a human. So I can respect yours.
Absolutely. There's just so many skills that gamers get that I don't think anybody really gets the practice of if they're not a gamer. Persistence is number one. If you ever played the NES Super Mario Brothers, that first Goomba, even to this day when I play with my daughter, it still gets me. So you got to practice over and over and over again in order to get good. And, I think gamers make such fantastic employees, make fantastic business owners, because when something happens, they're like, oh, let's just move forward again.
I definitely agree. Oh my gosh, you got me thinking about even the next Mario 64. Oh my gosh, I keep thinking about those special levels when he was like metal liquid and grabbing Koopa by the tail.
Oh, for sure. But critical thinking, problem solving, inventory management, Like that's a big one, right? Any RPG, do I use my mega elixir for now or do I save it for an emergency? What's an emergency? All right, Raymond, this has been absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much. We genuinely appreciate you coming on with us today.
Brad, it's been a pleasure. I can't wait to see your next videos out there. I'll be following.
Oh, thank you so much. And on that note, I'm going to remind everybody else, don't be just a gamer, be a gamerpreneur.